Breaking. Prince William just walked away from the Prime Minister in front of 300 guests, and what he said next might end Starmer's career. This isn't a scheduling mistake. This is the future king declaring war on his own government. And if you think the royals always stay quiet, you're about to see why this changes everything. Subscribe now, because what happens in the next 72 hours will decide if Britain's monarchy survives or falls. Here's what actually happened. Yesterday afternoon, Prince William was supposed to show up at Lancaster House for Starmer's big Commonwealth reception. Over 300 guests already there. Dozens of ambassadors, international dignitaries, cameras positioned and ready. The entire diplomatic machine was running. Then 15 minutes before his scheduled arrival, one message from Kensington Palace stopped everything cold. The Prince of Wales will not be attending. No explanation, no diplomatic courtesy, no warning. Just a flat refusal that left the Prime Minister's office scrambling to explain to confused foreign leaders why Britain's future king had just... The embarrassment was immediate and global. But here's what makes this absolutely wild. Palace insiders are now confirming this wasn't about logistics or health or any normal excuse. This was intentional. William reportedly told his senior aides days ago that he couldn't stand on the same stage as a government he believes is actively trying to destroy the constitutional role of the monarchy. Those are fighting words from someone who's supposed to stay neutral no matter what. The timing couldn't be more explosive. Starmer's Labour government has been quietly pushing proposals to slash royal funding and give Parliament veto power over royal appointments. Ministers are calling it modernisation. Palace insiders are calling it something else entirely. A slow takeover of the Crown's independence. Draft documents leaked just last month showed detailed plans to reduce the sovereign grant and force royals to get government approval before major speeches or international trips. And William just said no, publicly, in a way that shatters 70 years of careful royal neutrality. To understand how massive this is, you need to know that working royals never make political statements, ever. They smile, shake hands and cooperate with whatever government voters choose, regardless of personal feelings. The last time a senior royal publicly defied a sitting government was during the Suez Crisis in 1956, and even that was behind closed doors. For William to boycott a government event in full view of international media puts him in territory no future king has entered since before Queen Elizabeth took the throne. The fallout was instant chaos. Foreign Secretary David Lammy was completely blindsided. Multiple sources confirm his office only found out about William's absence through back channels, not through proper diplomatic protocol. That breach alone tells you how fast this decision was made, and how completely relations between Kensington Palace and Downing Street. Cabinet members arriving at Lancaster House had to face a room full of international guests, all asking the same uncomfortable question: where's the Prince of Wales? Commonwealth leaders who flew in specifically expecting to meet Britain's future king instead got awkward apologies from ministers who clearly had no idea this was coming. The optics were catastrophic. Commonwealth Day is supposed to showcase British leadership and unity to the world. Instead, it became a public display of constitutional warfare. Foreign dignitaries watched Britain's future king openly refuse to appear alongside his own Prime Minister. That's the kind of diplomatic disaster that takes years to repair. Then at 8 p.m. last night, William dropped the statement that confirmed everyone's worst fears. Kensington Palace released carefully chosen words that were diplomatic in tone, but nuclear in meaning. William spoke about defending constitutional foundations and protected for generations. He talked about maintaining the independence and dignity of the Crown. That word, independence, is everything. Legal experts immediately noted that William is essentially accusing the government of trying to make the monarchy dependent on parliamentary approval, which would turn the Crown from an institution above politics into a political football kicked around by whoever's in power. That's not reform. That's elimination by another name. Inside Westminster, panic is spreading fast. Labour MPs are privately terrified about picking a fight with the royal family at the worst possible time. Princess Catherine's approval ratings are sitting in the high 70s. Prince William is one of Britain's most trusted public figures. Meanwhile, Starmer's government is already polling in the low 30s. Going to war with beloved royals while your own numbers are tanking? That's political suicide. Even Labour insiders are breaking ranks. One backbencher speaking this an unforced error that's handing the opposition a gift they couldn't have dreamed up themselves. Another described Labour WhatsApp groups as ranging from concern to outright panic. Nobody thought the royals would actually fight back. Now that they are, the government has no plan. And William isn't alone in this fight. Sources close to other senior royals reveal that Princess Anne and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, are just as furious about the government's approach. Anne, who quietly completes over 500 engagements annually without complaint or drama, is reportedly livid about proposals that would gut funding for working royals who actually do the job. There are now serious discussions happening about coordinated action, with multiple royals potentially refusing to attend government functions until the proposals are withdrawn. Think about what that means. If senior royals boycott government events across the board, the entire machinery of British soft power breaks down. State dinners need royal hosts. Receptions depend on royal presence for protocol. Honours ceremonies can't proceed without royal participation. The system only works if both sides cooperate. And cooperation just ended. The British public has already chosen sides, and it's not even close. Social media exploded within hours. Hashtags supporting William trended globally with millions of posts. Polling conducted overnight shows 68% of Britons backing William's position. Only 14% support the government pushing forward, despite royal objections. Even among Labour's own voters, only 31% support Starmer on this. Those are career-ending numbers for any politician. Conservative opposition leader Rishi Sunak immediately saw the opportunity. He pledged total support for the monarchy and promised to reverse every change if his party returns to power. Whether he means it or not doesn't matter anymore. It's working. Conservative polling in just 72 hours, their best performance since losing the election. Starmer just handed his opponents the perfect weapon. But here's the deeper problem that nobody's talking about. The monarchy needs government funding. The sovereign grant comes from Crown estate profits, but requires parliamentary approval every year. If this fight escalates, both sides lose everything. Royals need that funding to operate. The government needs royal cooperation for all the ceremonial functions that make Britain's constitutional system work. This is a standoff where victory is impossible. If William pushes too hard, he drags the monarchy into partisan politics, which could ultimately destroy the institution he's trying to save. If Starmer pushes too hard, he triggers a constitutional crisis that will define and doom his entire premiership. Neither side can back down without looking weak. Neither side can win without destroying what they're fighting for. Constitutional experts are using words like unprecedented and dangerous. Britain's entire system runs on unwritten rules and mutual respect between Crown and Parliament. When that breaks down, there's no instruction manual, no legal framework to fall back on. The last comparable situation was the abdication crisis of 1936, and that nearly ended the monarchy entirely. Nobody wants to find out what happens if we go down that road again. Professor Robert Hazel, one of Britain's leading constitutional scholars, called this the most serious Crown government confrontation since World War II. He warned that both sides need to find a face-saving compromise immediately before positions become too entrenched to walk back. Once you draw lines in public like this, climbing down becomes almost impossible without looking defeated. There's also the Commonwealth dimension that's getting overlooked. William has invested heavily in Commonwealth relations over the past decade. He sees himself as a future bridge between Britain and dozens of member nations. Commonwealth countries still have the British monarch as their head of state. If William believes the government is undermining his future role or disrespecting Commonwealth traditions, that explains why he's willing to risk so much right now. Several Commonwealth leaders have privately backed William's stance, according to diplomatic sources. They view the British monarchy as crucial symbolic glue holding the entire Commonwealth organisation together. Anything that weakens the Crown weakens the organisation. And they're telling Starmer that message loud and clear through back channels. The economic stakes are rising too. Royal events generate an estimated £1.8 billion annually in tourism revenue alone. That's just direct spending. The monarchy's value for British soft power and business diplomacy is harder to measure, but absolutely enormous. If senior royals start withdrawing from public life in protest, the economic and diplomatic costs will be real and painful. Fast. Inside number 10 Downing Street, growing alarm that this situation has been catastrophically mishandled from the start. Some aides argue the government should have consulted the palace properly before announcing any reforms. Others insist that backing down now would look fatally weak and embolden the royals to veto future changes. Starmer is trapped between his Republican base demanding action and political reality, showing he's losing this fight badly in public opinion. Parliament debates royal funding reforms on Tuesday. That's just days away. If that debate proceeds despite William's very public protest, expect immediate escalation. More royals could join the boycott. Public protests could erupt. The constitutional crisis deepens. But if the government backs down now, Starmer's own supporters will accuse him of caving to unelected privilege. They'll say he let a prince dictate policy to an elected government. There's no good option left on the table. William has made his calculation clear. Even speaking shatters protocol and breaks decades of tradition is less dangerous than staying silent while the monarchy's constitutional foundation gets dismantled piece by piece. He's betting that public support and Commonwealth pressure will force Starmer to retreat. Whether that gamble pays off will determine both his future effectiveness as king and whether the British monarchy survives the 21st century in any meaningful form. So here's the question everyone's asking. Is William right to break neutrality and fight back against his own government? Should Starmer back down immediately to avoid a full constitutional crisis? Or does Britain actually need this confrontation to finally decide what the monarchy means in a modern democracy? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Tell us which side you're on and why you think they're right. Share this video with anyone who needs to understand what's actually at stake here. Because tomorrow we're breaking down Starmer's remaining options in detail, and I'm telling you now, this story is just getting started, and what happens next could change Britain forever. You don't want to miss it.